I am Shonte Jovan Taylor, and you are having coffee with the Neuroscientist.
Welcome, everyone. I am Shonte Jovan Taylor, the founder of the OptiMind Institute, Neuroscientist and Success Strategist. So I'm really honored today to share with you an amazing guest, Alycia Huston, who is a graduate of our OptiMind Institute and who's really doing some powerful things with the knowledge of neuroscience. Infusing it into her life, into her works, and really making a big impact in the world, in the lives of her family, and just really making changes. And I really just wanted her to share her experience about, working with us in the OptiMind program, and how she was able to really, transform and transcend, where she was before she joined the program and learned about neuroscience and where she is now. So thank you so much, Alycia, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's my honor.
Yes. Likewise. Yeah, I've been watching your journey, since you've been in the program, and, we've become friends and colleagues since then. So I really want people to see just where neuroscience can take you, this understanding, this advanced knowledge, where it can take you in your life and in your profession. Okay?
Well, yes, you got it. Okay.
So, Alycia, just tell us, where are you right now in time and space with this knowledge?
So, as Shonte said, my name's Alycia Huston, and I operate a coaching and consulting business. And, when I had just found OptiMind, I was at a place that I knew there was something more. I just didn't know what it was. So when I saw OptiMind come, I just think it was probably an ad maybe or something. And I was like, this sounds really interesting. Let me know more. So remember, so that was a few years ago. That's where I was. And I didn't have clients really. I was just really confused. And so let's fast forward to where I am today. Today, I work with some amazing Fortune 500 companies, Cisco, Dell. I work with pharmaceutical companies. I work with amazing small business owners, and I am a speaker. So I speak on various stages, and I just have built phenomenal relationships from that. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things that has come from being a neuro leader is that I was booked to speak at NASA. So I will be speaking at NASA.
Wow.
In June. And even if it's not in person, because what NASA did is they bring you in person and you speak to their leadership within their auditorium. Even if it's not in person, I've already reached out to the leadership to let them know, listen, I'm very, knowledgeable about online platforms. I have my own online platform where all of your people can sign in. We can make it very simple. It doesn't have to be hard. So, just let me know if that's something you want to do for our June 9th time together. So, that really, even in the mental space, to think that far ahead, like, okay, we're dealing with something right now. Yes, we might have things under control to a certain degree, but by June 9th, will I really be able to travel to the DC area? Will it really be safe? Will all of these sanctions be lifted? So how about being proactive to put the ball in their court, and then let's see how they want to move at that point. But, all of this, just like you were saying, how I have infused it even into my own personal life, my own mode of thinking, just slowing down, really understanding that, okay, am I being triggered? Is my amygdala being triggered? So I even have conversations with my kids. Okay, have we activated the amygdala? Have we activated the reptilian brain? So it really has a place in our home where it makes sense. And I think too, Shonte, one of the big things is we can become intimidated by the word neuroscience. And so, when I first graduated from the program, I was like, well, I'm not going to be teaching neuroscience. How do I bring this into alignment? So there was a lot of ambiguity, and there was a lot of running into walls and not understanding And so what I can say is that it does work itself out. You do see how you can be a contribution to your clients, to humanity, to your community, to your family, to your churches, your nonprofit, by helping them see something different and slowing down. Like actually, like I almost liken it to like the Twilight Zone, when you can like slow down and you pull back and you can see yourself and you're like, this is cool.
Yeah. So talk about like where you were before, like mentally, because I know you owned a very successful pharmaceutical company before, and you had some struggles with that. And there was a recession during that time and all that. And now, you know, in the future, you know, now we're in this, you know, coronavirus situation, and, you know, there's still challenges. Can you just do it like a compare and contrast on how you're feeling with your business?
You got it. So, as you said, Shonte, I owned a biotech company. That was my previous business. I opened that, co-founded that in 2004, and then we moved into the recession, right? 4 years later. So the business is still very fresh. I experienced a 40% loss of revenue. 40% loss of revenue. We had families, we had benefits, we had employees, we had subcontractors, we have rent. I mean, you have all of these things because it was a brick and mortar, obviously. I was crazed. I was panicked. I did not have really, you know, I portrayed it. Let's be clear. I did portray it like I had it, you know, all together. But my whole inside was knotted up, fearful, scared. What's next? And it was really, as I even think back on that, it almost kind of like, I almost feel it physically, viscerally in my heart, the way I was so frightened for myself, for my family, for everyone. Like, how are we going to get through this? And so as I compared that Alycia, right, from 2008, 2009, right in there, to the Alycia today, where we're now experiencing a very real pandemic, something that is of historic proportions. We've never had, you know, closing down the Vegas Strip, hotels, things of this nature, airlines talking about, you know, we may stop flights completely for certain days. And you know what I see? I see hope. I still see hope. I see a belief that I know we will come out on the other side. And I know we will come out stronger as a humanity together, because what's really happening, in my opinion, and now what I can see with my higher self, because I'm able to just sit and be still and listen and not operate in a panic sense, is I understand that we are coming back together as sisters and brothers, how we were meant to be on this earth, how we are going to once again be honoring this earth the way we should be. And honoring the earth means honoring one another, because we are our sister's keeper and we are our brother's keeper. It matters not of our culture, our hue, our background, anything. You know, yes, we have beautiful differences, but those differences are what bring this dynamic of diversity to this world and keeps the world moving forward with such grace and power and love. So that person was not who I was, honestly, in 2008. I can even tell you, like, my marriage was crazed with that, because like it's very difficult on your personal relationships too. And my husband was active Navy at that time, so he's retired now, but it was really trying on the relationship piece too. And you know, today he's retired, I work from home, he's home, like we're smiling, we're happy, like we're so good. The kids are wonderful. And it's because as the leadership of our home, right, that leadership is very solid and grounded, but it's because also I'm very clear from a mental space who I am, what my charge is in this world, and how I can be of service for times such as these.
Yes, be that leader coming from that higher place in your brain versus that panic, fearful place in your brain. Yeah, I can totally see the two different dynamics. And So, and once again, how did you find OptiMind, and what was your motivation for even signing up for OptiMind?
So that's a phenomenal question. So I found OptiMind. I do believe you probably did maybe a sponsored ad or something like that. That it was something, and it just came through on my feed. And I remember I saw, and I believe it was you, and you were, and it said something about neuroscientists, and I was like, so first of all, I'm not going to lie, I saw this African American woman, neuroscientist. I have a background. I'm a STEM girl. I was very, and then I clicked and I started reading more about what OptiMind does. And it was aligning with my core values, right? With who I am, what I want to bring forth in the world. And at that time, I had just actually left. I left? I was on the cusp so I sold my previous business and I was operating under executive leadership at that point. I was stressed out. I was pulled. I was crazed. I was seeing how the leadership, I was very clear on what excellent leadership looked like versus toxic leadership. And so it was really trying me. I had gained a bunch of weight. I mean, I was just not in this. And I knew it was time for me to go, but I wasn't quite clear on what it all looked like. And then there you were. It was like, I'm a woman of faith. So I'm a praying woman, and it was like my prayer had been answered. It was like, okay, yes. So when people say people are waiting on you to operate in your gifts, so because you're the answer to someone's prayer, it's real. You are the answer to someone's prayer. Oh, girl, that just made you are the answer to someone's prayer.
Let's feel that. Yes.
And we have to move with that. And so because you were obedient, right, with whatever the downloads were from you to create the OptiMind Institute, I was able to see you on social media, dig deeper, and really read more about you. I started kind of stalking you a little bit, being a part of your Coffee with the Neuroscientist. You would do that on your business page. And I was listening to you and I was liking what you were saying. And then from that page, you opened up enrollment. So in that conversation, so I found you from an ad about kind of what you were doing, started following you, listening to you because you were doing Coffee with the Neuroscientist. And I just loved it. And I loved your spirit. You were very approachable, but very matter of fact. And the principles, you weren't, you could speak in those very scientific terms if you chose to. You could speak up here that it would just go over our heads. But you brought it down to that's so digestible. And I saw how I could bring this wisdom not only into my own home, but how I could share it with the masses. Even though I didn't know how yet, I didn't even know what it looked like. Right. That's what it was. It was like, yes, that's it. I don't know how it's going to happen yet, but that's it. Yes.
Something just called you to the message of, I have to understand this brain. I have to understand this dynamic organ that's accessible to us humans, but we don't intentionally learn how to use it
so real.
in a bigger way. And so, Alycia, what other tools or programs did you try before our program to kind of, really understand how to take leadership and coaching to the next level?
Yes, that is so amazing. So I was, as many of us know, I was, as many of us were, I was always attracted to John Maxwell also. Okay. So John Maxwell, because he speaks at a higher level as well, right? His verbiage, his leadership principles are very practical, they're very real, tangible, but he is a man of innovation. He is a man of forward thinking. And so John Maxwell is someone who I followed. And I've always been a part of his realm. I have been a part of really for coaching. I was ICF certified by Coactive Coaching. That's it. And they talk about higher level thinking. And it was just, so those two components. So I had John Maxwell, I had Coactive. I also had the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, but I didn't, even with all those things. So I had these, I felt like I had these pieces to the puzzle, but they weren't all quite fitting in. It was like, okay, that's still not quite sliding. I did some of this, that's not quite it. I did some of that. And then And then it's like, once I did the OptiMind program, it's like, oh my gosh, I get it. I get how my schooling with Integrative Institute for Nutrition, my certification in coaching, professional coaching, my leadership certifications, and my previous operation as a CEO in a very successful business, like it was all coming together. So I was starting to see things that I had been doing in my life, but now it was beginning to make sense. You know how sometimes you can't replicate things because you don't know how you did it. You don't know how you got there. So now I am so grateful to be able to replicate the success and the elevation of myself, my spirit, my mind, my heart, my body, all of that. I'm able to replicate that for my clients. And it's so beautiful to be able to talk about the brain. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to just tell you something. You told me this maybe when I first started. I didn't quite, people tell you things and you're like, okay, yeah, okay.
Oh.
When people start understanding, you can dialogue about the brain. You can help them with tools from the greatest technology ever created, right? And you tell them, this computer we're talking on came from somebody's technology. It came from somebody's inner technology, the dynamics, the creation. And when you tell someone, when we can have a conversation, so Cisco is one of my best clients. I've made some dear friendships. As you know, you've met some of those amazing ladies. And they love how I can talk to them from the lens of the brain. When they are just like being silly or just all of that, I can just come at them and tell them, you're operating from your fear brain. You're telling them about how their hypothalamus, how all of these things, the amygdala, how their synapses, their neural networks are all activating. They're just like, I love listening to you. So it's just really, it becomes fun conversation.
Yes.
And then people want to bring you in to speak to a wider audience, to their teams, to their committees, to their associations. Before all of this kind of happened, I was going to speak to the HBA. As you know, you saw it, you posted in the group about the neuroscience of leadership and how women, it's time for us to take our seat at the table. I was going to speak at Cisco's Women of Impact Week. And so all of those things, when you begin to cut yourself from the crowd, the noise, because you're standing in your truth and you operate in who you are, then people can find you. And those were things that you shared with me. And, you get it logically, but then practically, when you see it start happening, you're like, okay, now I got it. So
would you say you were kind of skeptical a little bit, like, yeah, I don't really know how this neuroscience is going to work, or if people really want to hear about that, or it's really going to, separate me from the crowd? So you were kind of skeptical, huh?
Yeah, I was like, because then I was like, they're gonna be like, oh, she thinks she's a know-it-all, So I was skeptical, but I was like, okay, this is great information, but now what? Almost timid, I'll say, with it. Like I didn't even want to kind of bring it out, but then I would drop a little here, drop a little there, and folks were like, oh my gosh, I love that. And I was like, okay. And then you have to find the balance, because you can't just start going real heavy with the neuroscience, because then people are like, okay, no.
Right.
So what I found is, as you said, is yes, when I embrace the truth, right? Because we love this stuff. That's why we have this tribe, because we love it. And when you just sprinkle it in, so you have your conversation, whatever your teaching topics are, and you just sprinkle a little neuroscience on it, in certain places. And this is why. So let me bring a little science to this piece for you. And then people are like, okay. So you don't have to have a conversation like I thought, like that's all neuroscience based, because I'm not a neuroscientist, Right. But when you sprinkle a little bit of that neuroscience on there, folks lean in a little bit more, say, oh, here's my card. I want to have another conversation. Yes. So I was skeptical, but baby, I'm a believer now.
Yes. You have to just kind of walk in faith and trust that I I have demonstrated this myself in my own world, in my own professional life, in my own personal life. And I'm, sharing it with those who are willing to hear. And, I love how you said you have to learn where to sprinkle it, where to insert neuroscience, because it is an art. There's an art to teaching neuroscience. It's an art to teaching people about their powerful brain. You don't want to overload their brain, but you want to give them just enough to empower them. Right? Because everyone deserves to know about how their beautiful brain works. And we can be more powerful coaches and leaders when we are giving them that deeper knowledge, that deeper wisdom of what is happening in their brains when they are doing different human activities, when they want to access more of their creativity, their productivity, their focus. You can give the underlying neuroscience using language that they can resonate with and understand, right? You have their attention, but now you can take them to a deeper level in their mind so that it sticks for them. We want this stuff to stick for them. We don't want to just be another coach, another leader, and then another speaker where, the information goes in one ear and out the other. With neuroscience, the information sticks, the strategies stick, and you can see it when they, in their other walks of life, you can start to see changes in them, So understanding neuroscience is a more predictor of success when you're doing your coaching and leadership. Have you noticed that in some of your clients?
Oh, absolutely. And it's really funny because then, then they go, I'm going to be the neuroscientist today. And I say, okay. They'll say, okay, so my amygdala is activated, so they start to get it and they start to understand more, like you said, and they feel more empowered because, where there is knowledge, there is power. When there's true knowledge, because knowledge is wisdom. And so that wisdom creates power from within. So you can then, really manage yourself, manage your emotions, manage your team at a different level, have empathy, compassion, all of those things where, it's just different. I'll even share an example. I had a client the other day where she had a new vendor. She had a new vendor that she was working with, and they were supposed to meet in person. Now, mind you, all of this happening, but she was still getting these, text confirmations, like looking forward to meeting you. So she reaches out to the woman and she says, just want to make sure we're on the same page that we're not meeting. Well, absolutely not. I'm not meeting with anyone in this global pandemic. I mean, it's bigger than us. So she, instead of being triggered like, well, duh, lady, I know that. She was like, okay, so she doesn't realize I'm still getting these emails being sent or these text messages that we're still meeting. So I'm not going to jump off the deep end and rip her head off. I'm going to say, so like what she said, I just wanted to make sure because I am still receiving the confirmation texts that are saying we're meeting. I'm absolutely aware of what's going on. And I am all about, the stay-at-home measures that are happening. The woman, oh my God, I apologize. She didn't realize that she was getting those messages. I apologize. Okay. I will go in the system right now and delete that so you don't get any more messages. But she was able to, instead of being triggered and just coming at her like, how dare you? She was able to say, listen, this is what's happening. This is why I'm checking in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So she was coming from a more centered place. And so when you're coming from a more centered brain, you're not going to automatically go to the negative. You're going to go to more of the positive, right? You're going to operate from that higher brain and communicate from that higher brain. Your emotional intelligence goes up when you are able to understand how to manage your own brain and extend that compassion and, open up that level of understanding of possibility. Well, maybe there could have been that lack of communication. Right. So you have a different starting place in your mind when you understand your brain better, and that just makes you a better communicator. It makes you a better leader, a better coach, a better parent. With everyday people. You're just operating from a different space. So Alycia, Share what have been your opportunities since you've been implementing neuroscience. You're now a certified neuro coach and neuro leader, and you've been, figuring out how to serve women and speak. And so, what have been the opportunities that have opened up since you've become a certified neuro coach and neuro leader?
So, like I said, my biggest one that I'm just so like. I won't even say my biggest, but my most exciting one for me, I think, because we all know the name NASA, right? So being chosen by NASA out of a pool of people, and the woman told me it was the neuro leadership that really set me apart. I just want to tell you that. She told me that.
Yes.
So that neuroscience component, she loved that. So that was huge. Being able to be on stage, like having Cisco fly me to different things that they're sponsoring, where they want me to speak on behalf of their company. Being a part of Girls in Tech, I am a STEM girl from, that's just who I am. Being a part of Girls in Tech, being able to meet like CEOs from Salesforce and I can't even remember the name of that one app right now. I know everybody knows it, I can't think of it, but being in those environments, to be meeting these amazing individuals and to be creating relationships, right, with them. Really kind of growing my consulting arm a little bit more this year. And it's been awesome because in consulting, it's a different side, part of your brain in consulting than coaching, because coaching is kind of pulling it out. Consulting is a little more, this is my expertise, but then managing the responses and the energy from my clients, on that consulting side. So I'm working with an IT company, doing some consulting. I'm working with a home health company doing some consulting. I'm working with a sales company doing some consulting. So just really how there are so many facets to this, and I really thought, right, because this is when we identify in the beginning that I'm going to be working with Fortune 500s, only Fortune 100s. Yes, those are part of it, but I really understand that my small businesses are my people. I love my small businesses because there we can have the most impact. It's the most direct impact, I feel, with the leadership in those companies and then those that they serve, or their employees or their teams, so it's more of, in my opinion, I have more of an impact on our global community that way, because I can see the direct impact on the families. I can hear the immediate feedback from the teams when I'm, going to facilitate a strategy session, and they're like, "Oh my, you're blowing my mind, Alycia," and it's making sure everybody's voice is heard. So I will say it's all been phenomenal. Those big names, those Fortune 5s. I've worked with Coca-Cola, UPS, all of those things. I'm going to start reaching back out to bring some of those relationships back around. But my yummy spot are my entrepreneurs, or my entrepreneurial ventures, my small businesses, because that was me. I was a small business. I had employees, and we don't have all the resources that the big business has. But because I've been there, done that, I can come in and be a resource as a consultant and help them manage, modify, and move forward so that they can continue to grow and expand their impact in the world.
Absolutely. And it definitely sounds like you are making a bigger impact and a bigger income, it sounds like.
That part too. Like, let's be real, we are here to make some money,
Yes,
so yes, ma'am.
So would you say, now that you're walking confidently, using this knowledge fluidly, that you're getting more visibility, and as a result, you're able to really, set a higher bar for your services, pricing your services?
Oh, yes, ma'am. So let me tell you what this program also does that it brings, that is it's an outlier. Like you don't say this. It brings confidence. It brings confidence in yourself, your abilities, your services. And then as you start to get results for people, then you start to see you're like, okay, like this is real. And then you continue to elevate, right? You go to the next tier. And I'll tell you, what I was charging 2.5 years ago, first of all, I'm like, what was I thinking? We have to grow though. We have to grow. So please don't judge yourself, anybody, if you're charging something and you're like, oh my gosh, just grow into the true you, and don't sell yourself short. What my coach used to say is, don't prostitute yourself, because you're giving stuff away for, a little bit. And so when this knowledge, this wisdom, people want it, they'll pay for it, but it's about positioning yourself as the leader, as the expert, as the one with the wisdom. And so those positionings have been just like you did, Shonte, with having some Facebook Lives. I had to get over myself. I had to get over myself. I had to get over this fear of being seen. Oh, well, it's not perfect. It's not this. Oh, I want to lose 10 more pounds. Get over yourself. So it gives you this confidence, and almost you have to I created this plan that was a get over yourself plan. Okay. Like, I'm just sharing that for the first time. It was a get over yourself plan. And it was like, you're going to show up live here. You're going to do these interviews. You're going to do this. And so that's where it really started to get better, is when I got over myself and began to put myself out there and do things that garnered visibility. And, and I'm even doing some of that now with what we're experiencing now. I'm getting a phenomenal summit together of 6 dynamic leaders that's going to begin on Monday. And it's called The Language of Leadership. And so it's going to be these amazing leaders. And I'm going to be sprinkling in the neuroscience while we're dialoguing, right? Sprinkling in some neuroscience here and there, not going to be heavy with it, but sprinkling some things in and positioning myself as the expert, as the go-to, as the leader. But I'm bringing these amazing individuals in to have conversations too, because they are experts in their own field as well. So absolutely, to answer your question, yes, started charging more because my confidence was increased, my skill set had been enhanced. And the beautiful thing is that I still go back to our modules. I still listen, I still enhance, I still hone, I still sharpen, all of those things. I've never learned it all. And we
keep adding. We keep adding to the program.
You do. Right? I keep hearing new things. I'm like, woo. And I'm like, I have my own OptiMind book that I write everything down in. I have all kinds of colors. You see, I'm a pen. I have all kinds of colors. I'm a color person and highlighting. And so it's very fluid. So I'm appreciative that your program is not stagnant either. You're always adding, or you're upgrading, or you say, okay, we've redone module 2, this particular one on teens, the brain of teens. And it's like, ooh, I gotta go in here and listen to that. So it's always ebbing and flowing. So you're not stagnant. I'm not stagnant for my people. And then none of my people are stagnant for our people. So it's phenomenal. Yes.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. I mean, and that's the way the brain works. It's very dynamic. It's this organic, high tech piece of technology that is, always growing and learning and can be stimulated and reset and rewired. I mean, it sounds like you rewired your brain so that you created the mental pathways where you can show up more powerfully. Because when you're a leader, you have to show up, and you have to have a resilient brain. You have to have a flexible brain, especially in these times, right? So the people who are depending on you to show up, in your groups, in your coaching programs, in your organizations, they are looking to you to show them the way, the light. So this is not a time for leaders to be fearful and stressed and, shrink and hide. This is the time to lean into that powerful brain of yours, those powerful emotions, and show people the light out of the darkness. People are scared. And this is exactly what the OptiMind program has been training coaches and leaders to do, to have the resilient and flexible brains to be able to lead in times of change, in times of challenge. And you have to start here. You have to start with self. And I think Alycia would agree, you transform self first. You think you're just signing up to learn about neuroscience, you could be a better coach and better leader. Oh no, you transform your own brain first, and then you can show others how to do the same.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Totally agree. It starts with you first, and it's like happening before your eyes. It's happening before your eyes. You're like, wow. And then I'm grateful to have this place I have a litmus test from where I was in '08 to where I am now, because I dealt with very serious adversity. There was a lot that was up on my shoulders, and to be honest with myself on how I'm handling it now versus then, wow, I have evidence.
And we need that. We need to be able to reflect on where we were and where we are now. And, when you're dealing with the brain, it is, how am I responding? How am I reacting? How am I accessing more of my creativity? I mean, it sounds like you're able to pivot just in this experience. A lot of people can't go out. A lot of leaders and coaches can't go out. Well, what can I create? How can I pivot in this moment? So brain management in the times for, business and entrepreneurship is also important. You can't operate from a fearful brain and try to be creative. It'll cancel each other out.
Totally.
It's very powerful. So we have to be able to manage our brains. And if we're working with entrepreneurs, if we're business coaches, we have to help them to manage their brains during these times. This is what the brain is for, to be able to pivot and be flexible and resilient and, tap into our empathy and compassion during these times. This is how humanity is going to keep evolving and growing, and evolving. So we really have to learn to manage the greatest technology on the planet. And I'm so honored, Alycia, that you have the vision, and the foresight, to go on this journey with us, allow us to, teach you this knowledge with compassion and empathy. And you took the challenge, and even though it wasn't always easy, you weren't always sure how you're going to implement it, you still took on the challenge and you figured it out. And now you're just thriving. And I'm so proud of you. And the world really needs what you do in the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It is my honor. And I just want to leave all of our beautiful community with one thing. Just what's the next one right step? The next one right step. We don't have to think about, in 2 months from now, what's the next one right step? And that's how I came up with the summit. It was like, what do people need now? What was the next one right step? And that has really propelled me in moving forward, getting out of my fear brain, garnering and engaging the confident self, and really moving into where we're supposed to be, because the world needs this community so diligently right now. There are so many people hurting and afraid, and we have the wisdom to add to their pot, to uplift them and encourage them and show them what's possible. Show them how to manage this better. This is the key. This is the key to it all, to our human experience and growing. So if you want to learn more about how to get to Alycia level, how to get more visible in your profession, in your business, how to manage your brain during these challenging times, and how to help others to do the same. It's really a 360-degree tool. So I'll put the website, the link for you to, just jump on the phone and have a conversation with me, and even see how neuroscience can, launch your business to the next level, launch your profession to the next level, launch your human potential to the next level. So we could just hop on a phone call and, see if it's for you. Not everybody will jump for this challenge. Not everybody's ready to go to this next level. So you definitely have to be ready to go to the next level. You got to feel it in your heart. You got to feel it in your mind. And you really got to have an honest conversation with yourself about, do I want to stay where I am? Do I want to stay stagnant? Or am I ready to really access more of my human potential? Am I ready to really take my business to the next level? Am I showing up as the leader I can in these organizations? Or am I shrinking? Am I showing fear? Am I scared? Because there is a powerful way to show up. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you show up in the most powerful position that you can, so you can have a bigger impact and bigger income in the world. All right. So with that, thank you so much again, Alycia. My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. You'll be seeing more of her, of course, maybe at NASA. So I will put the link in, and if you have any questions, we'll be looking for the questions so we can respond to you. So remember, when you better your mind and better your brain, you can make a bigger impact and a bigger income in the world. Take care, everyone.
Did you like this episode? Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and share with a friend. And if you consider yourself a modern thinker, and if you want free mindset success tools and more tips and strategies on how to use neuroscience in your everyday life and how to stay motivated and inspired to live your best self, come visit me at ShonteTaylor.com, enter your name and email address, and sign up for my newsletter. Remember, when you better your mind, you better your brain, you better your impact.